The death of chaos. When I finally realized what chaos was, I also realized that actually it never had been. There always is still only order now. Chaos was just a conceptual label for my relative lack of comprehension. For instance, when I did not know how to read, letters were meaningless shapes of chaos. Then I learned to read. I realized that letters were never meaningless shapes of chaos. I just did not yet recognize them as letters until whenever I did. Further, though I currently may not be able to read Chinese or Arabic or Sanskrit, I can recognize the shapes and identify which ones look Chinese or Arabic or Sanskrit to me. In other cases, I might see a shape and not know whether or not it is a linguistic symbol that was intentionally made by a person. Just can't tell. I might ask a 3-year-old child to tell me what it is that they drew on a piece of paper that I can see has a bunch of lines on it, and the child may tell me quite sincerely that they wrote my name. I do not recognize any letters at all, but I can accept that their intent was to write my name. So are the lines on the paper chaotic just because I did not identify, from looking at the lines on the paper, that the child's intention was to write my name? Or is the mere fact that there are lines on that paper the evidence of an orderly sequence of events in which a child intentionally put some lines on a paper? How else did those lines get there? Didn't someone make that paper? Didn't someone bring that paper from the manufacturer and put that paper where it was available to that child, perhaps along with some crayons? Didn't someone make the crayons? If evidence of order is absolutely everywhere, then exactly what part of reality is inherently chaotic, if any? So there's a difference between an admission of ignorance and a declaration of chaos. Chaos is a way of relating to order. Order is all there is. Chaos is a way of relating to what is. Generally, declaring chaos is a rejecting or denial of order in general, like there could ever be such a thing as orderlessness. Specifically, declaring chaos is the resisting or interrupting of a particular form of order. If I announce that there is no such thing as language, and never could be, then further claim that all sequences of sounds and all sequences of letter are inherently chaotic, that would be too obvious for anyone to believe. People would know better from personal experience. However, if I said that a particular physiological condition is incurable, many people would agree, or might, but perhaps then join a campaign to search for a cure for something we just agreed was incurable. But if something is inherently incurable, then why study possible cures? We may intuitively know that incurable does not actually mean incurable, like not inherently incurable. Incurable means that the person speaking is not claiming to already know a cure, not yet. However, we may also presume that if a few people claim to not know a cure, then no one else does either. That is not just ignorance, but a naive arrogance. For instance, when most Europeans considered scurvy incurable, it took some of them quite a while to try the remedies recommended by other people. But when the diagnostic label of scurvy was replaced with vitamin C deficiency, you may have noticed that no one goes around saying that vitamin C deficiencies used to be considered incurable. It was only when there was no comprehension of vitamin C itself that the label scurvy was popular. Once people recognized the natural consequences of the presence of vitamin C, they realized that it was required for certain biochemical processes. In the presence of vitamin C, certain functions naturally arose. Otherwise, those functions did not arise, which could eventually result in physical death and a variety of typical symptoms of the lack of functionality of an organism, whether it's a human or some other creature. So chaos is only a phenomenon in language. There is no such tangible thing as chaos, like a chaos. Just as there is no such tangible thing as silence. but only the varying presence of audible sound vibration as distinct from inaudible vibrations, as well as distinctions in the varying presence of the capacity to hear. There's just different forms of order. Audible order, inaudible order. The capacity to hear and the capacity for something else, like to see or taste, etc. Chaos does not even mean the absence of order. There is no such tangible thing as an absence either. Chaos means the relative absence of the perception of order. In other words, chaos means order is recognized as present elsewhere, but not in relating to some particular development. It's called chaotic. So we may agree that no physiological illness is inherently incurable. If it is inherently incurable, like if I had one of my kidneys removed or a limb amputated, then that is not an illness. In fact, incurable really is just not a very useful linguistic label, except in contrast to anything that I already recognize as curable. The word incurable implies the possibility of cure. The word chaos implies the possible contrast of order. The comprehension of the speaker is the issue, not the inherent quality of the physical or physiological condition as incurable or understood. It's a relationship of the relative lack of perception of order. And there's also issues of the misperception of order called confusion. We might come back to that later. But I did not write this to tell you that letters of foreign alphabets are not chaos, or even to assert that all physiological illness is orderly. All physiology is orderly, including illness. But I wrote this because of an immense economic transition underway, one which many people have been calling unpredictable. Consider that the economic transition underway was about as unpredictable as scurvy is incurable, or, as the language of this sentence is, impossible.